Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge. We have yet more Moonrise Reveals, of course. So today we are talking Thunder stuff. So let's get into it. We have like 5 new cards here, so that's pretty cool. Let's get right into it. So our first card is Electrify. Thunder players asked for an Elestral Searcher and they got it, technically. So this is a 1/1 1-spirit Elestral that you can disenchant a Thunder from this Electrify in order to search your deck for a 1-spirit Thunder Elestral and add to your hand. This card blows. Like, what makes the 1-spirit Elestral Searchers really good is that they're a body that sticks on the field, typically with some decent stats, that also searches you your next play. Like, that is what makes those cards good. This is garbage stats, and it has to kill itself to get the search. So it's really, really bad. It's not a good card. However, this card is meant to be used with something else. It's Ascension, so let's look at that. This is Electronite, a Thunder Lunar Insectoid, 4/6. You can Nexus a Thunder or Lunar. And when this Electronite receives 1 or more Thunder, you can special cast an Electrify from your hand or deck. When you activate your Electrify's effect, you can draw a card. So, like, this is decent. Like, you will get that search as soon as you cast it, because you will be receiving a Thunder Spirit. Even if it ascended over something that was already Thunder, and you put a Lunar on it, it is still a new Elestral receiving that Thunder Spirit. So it will still trigger. However, I still don't think this thing's very good. Its stat line is like really bad for an Ascension. You have no quick Ascension routes with this. You have Gloombat technically, but that's about it. You get to effectively search 2 things off of this. But you have to run Electrify in your deck, and if you want to be able to use this multiple times, you have to be running several Electrifies in your deck, which is like not ideal. Oh no, I don't think this card's very good. I think its stat line, like the fact that its attack stat is less than 5 on an Ascension, is really, really bad. It can't get over any of the 5's 1 costs, and all it can do to solve that issue is really sit in defense. Even with a Mount Olympus or a Temple of the Moon up, it's only going to hit 5 attack. So it's not getting over any of them, which is really not where you want your Ascension to be. It's a decent advantage engine, but like you compare this to a Joblin, which we talked about yesterday, that's an 8/4 that can pay 1 to switch anything to defense, any non-water enchanted to defense, so I can beat over it. And then it draws a card every time something changes position. Like, that is a way, way, way better card. That's way better. This is just not great. I'm not a fan of this card at all. I don't think this Ascension line is any good. Alright, on to the next one. We have Magneros. We saw this in the class trailer. This is a Nexus form for Apheros. This is a 2/4, 1 Thunder Spirit Elestral. You can Nexus up to 2 Thunder Spirits. When you do, you can foretell cards equal to the number of Thunder Enchanted cards. Thunder Enchanted cards, not Thunder Spirits enchanted on your field. Thunder Enchanted cards. Very important. On your field, and add up to 1 Thunder Invoke Rune foretold this way to your hand. This is not a good card. This is not a good card. Yeah, I've got to be completely honest. This is just not a good card. Like, it has a real stat line unlike Anocell, but like, I really don't think using an Elestral just for the fact that Nexus is good enough. I don't think the foretell is enough to make that difference. For the difference to be made, it has to be actually hitting a Thunder Invoke off this effect. And realistically, that's not going to happen, and it's probably never going to happen. Like, there's not going to be, like, not saying that you will never hit anything off of this effect. I'm more saying that there is very unlikely to ever be a deck in the future which will be running enough Thunder Invokes for this to happen reliably. So like, okay. So realistically, what you should be expecting off of this is like a Foretell 3, like 2 Elestrals and a Zeus, or this plus a Zeus plus a Mount Olympus. Something like Foretell 3. Foretell 3 still being generous, like you'll probably have a lot of scenarios where there's actually only Foretell 2. But let's say Foretell 3. Okay. Let's break out the calculator. Let's break out your friend and mine, the geometric distribution probability calculator. So, with Foretell 3, 40 cards deck, 6 targets, because that would be 3 Thunderstorm and 3 Race to the Top, which I believe are the only Thunder Invokes in the game right now. Sample size of 3 for our Foretell 3. That is a 39% chance to hit. It's really, really not good. Those odds are terrible. For these types of top X effects, what you really want to be seeing is you want to be seeing like 75% or higher. Ideally, you want to be seeing something like closer to like 90%, because you really don't want these sorts of effects to whiff. You want to be always hitting something with these effects. Being at 40% is really, really bad. That's not what you want to be seeing. Now, we know we're going to get a titled Thunderstorm in the future, so let's bump this up to 9. Come on. Work with me here. Oh, did I get the 5 through again? No. Okay, it just timed out. Okay. 40. 9 successes. Sample size 3. Number of successes 1. That only gets us to 54%. And the realities of deck building is that going much higher than that is going to be very, very difficult. Because like then we start cutting into our counter runes or our count of guys, and that's just not great. We would need like specifically an invoke rune that like searches a Thunder Elestral to really consider that. And especially because the main mechanism we have of increasing the amount of foretells, the most reliable mechanism, is with non-invoke runes, with divine runes and stadium runes and stuff like that. So like it's really hard to like with a top 3 search, what you really want to be seeing for this to be any sort of reliable is you want like half of your deck to be targets. So we would want, like, I believe I calculated before, I believe we hit 75%. Yeah, we hit 76% once we're at 15 Thunder Invokes in our deck, which means we are cutting back hugely on Counter Runes. On Ambrosia, we would need an Ambrosia replacement in Thunder, and on Elestrals. And like the reality where we even have that many Thunder Invoke runes is probably quite a ways off. We're not getting them that frequently. So like it's just really hard to envision any future where Magnaros becomes like a reliable card. What I really think they should have done with this card is drop the Foretell part completely. Just have it look at top 5. Have it look at like top 5 and then like add 1 for each Thunder Enchanted card on your field. And add a Thunder Invoke rune from among those to your hand, and then you shuffle your deck. Like, obviously, if you're foretelling that many, that could be a bit much if you're reliably hitting the Thunder Invoke, and getting to foretell that many, because you're basically going to know your top decks for the rest of the game at that point. But, like, the version, because, like, this version, the design of this effect seems to have way overvalued how good foretell is. And it's just, this just isn't good enough. Foretell, like Nexus and Foretell on its own, I don't think those are good enough. I just don't think they're good enough. It really needed the Thunder Invoke grab needed to be reliable, in my opinion, for this card to be good, and we did not get that card in any capacity. So it's unfortunate, but I just don't see this card being any good. Then we have, where is it? We have a new Counter Rune featuring Magnaros. Here it is. Magnetic Force Field. So this is number 89, so we're inching closer and closer to 90 plus cards. It is a Counter Rune, 1 Thunder Spirit. This Magnetic Force Field can only be cast when an opponent activates a non-counter effect that causes you to expend spirits. Negate that effect, and that opponent must expend 2 spirits. So this is an anti-burn card. This is a card that, like, I'm glad exists in the game, but probably won't be any good in the near future. If Eruption ever gets out of control, it'll be really good there. It's decent into Thunder Wind Burn too, because like it's still a decent prospect to go, okay, I will spend the one spirit I would have gotten burned by your Toxicon or Toxic Swarm anyways, and burn you for 2 by spending a card. That's still like a decent value proposition, but it needs those decks to be prevalent enough for this to be worth putting in your sideboard to begin with. So like this is a card I'm glad exists in the game, because like end of the day, Eruption is a very frustrating card because the counterplay that does exist to Eruption is very hard to maintain. So having a card like this that you can side in to counter the Eruption decks and as an alternative way to counter those Eruption decks is very nice if we ever reach a point where that deck ends up becoming actually good. Because like burn is really obnoxious. Burn is really obnoxious, especially in this game. So I'm glad this is a card that I'm glad exists, and like will probably be relevant in sideboards in some point in the future. But right now, probably not. And then I believe this is our last card. This is Titano Strike. This card is super cool. So Titano Strike is a 2/4, 1 Thunder Spirit Elestral. When a player casts Thunderstorm, you can expend 1 Thunder in order to target and destroy an Elestral. Elestral removal is super valuable in this game. It's super, super powerful. And Thunderstorm is already a card that's seeing like experimentation already. Especially if you're on, say, Arcalith. The ability to pay Thunderstorm off of Arcalith's extra spirits is very valuable, and Divine Healing will enable similar things with Zeus. So Thunderstorm's prospects are already up. Thunder is in a place where it kind of wants more Thunder guys, so that aspect of the card is appreciated, and it just has a good effect on top of it. A really powerful effect. Like, it's a 2-card combo, it'll cost you 4 spirits, but you're getting a guy on the board, you're clearing one of their Elestrals, and you're clearing one of their back row. That is extremely powerful. It's very, very strong. Yeah, this card seems like far and away the best thing here. It could also make the Bronto Glow deck more viable, but you still have to run like a really bad 1/1 weenie for that deck. That's something that might be worth exploring more once we get the title Thunderstorm. But I think Titano Strike is just independently like just very, very strong. Like you slap this in a Thunder deck, you put in Thunderstorm, and you just have a cool removal tool. It's probably not as good as Race to the Top, to be perfectly honest, because this can be countered by Dense Fog and Gorgon's Gaze, and Race to the Top can only be countered by Gorgon's Gaze as far as stopping the Jolton from getting the Mount Olympus. So Race to the Top is still ultimately probably the better removal tool, but having more removal tools in Thunder's toolbox is hardly a bad thing. And like I could see a deck popping up that ends up utilizing both Race to the Top and Titano Strike, and then we just end up with, wow, Thunder just has 5 billion removals. Have fun sticking anything. Which is a bit of a scary prospect, but at least one of them will be counterable by suppression. But yeah, this card reads very, very strong. And very cool is the fact that we are getting in Shattered Stars Scorpio, we are getting, where is it? We're getting an alternate art of Titano Strike. Honestly, I like the OG art of Titano Strike a lot more. Like this art where like its head like isn't really visible, it's up in the cloud, and like I really like the way this base art is drawn. It's really good. It loses some of that appeal on the Shattered Stars variant, unfortunately. But like having it in Shattered Stars is hardly a bad thing. So yeah. Yeah, I like Titano Strike a lot. I think that card's really, really good. And I expect it'll see like some amount of play, because Thunderstorm is like a card that's already on the brink of playability right now. Like back removal is powerful, as is especially Define and Stadium removal specifically is very strong. So like this card being the tool to push Thunder players into actually utilizing that, that's a very easy future to see. it does have a weakness in comparison to like a similar 2-card combo. Rhino Sectors is like a comparison because like it is also like a 4 spirit play that is counterable by Gorgon's Gaze and pops one of your opponent's guys. In comparison to that, neither piece is searchable at the moment. But again, that's something that will be in part resolved when we get the title Thunderstorm. So that'll be something to keep an eye on when set 6 comes around. But that's a long way off. That's like what, like 4 months between sets. We don't get set 4 until January, so that won't be until what, like September next year. So that's a very, very long way off. Like that's practically a whole year off. But I'm very impressed by Tune Strike. I'm very impressed by the Tune Strike. I would expect this card to see some play. Yeah. All right. That's going to be it. This is Hunter Surge, signing off.